Guys, good Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry Miller. Welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's a pleasure to connect with you on a show presented today by Ross Mortgage and Scott Morris, the show where any topic is available on the I Love CVille network. Today's show, you, the viewer, can offer perspective and ask questions. It's welcome. Judah Wickhauer, the director. Let's go to the studio camera. Fellas, we had some car talk on Real Talk, and I'm sure we'll get to real estate on Real Talk. But before we talk anything, good Wednesday morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
You know, we talked on our pre-production meeting. Wouldn't today be a great day to go out fishing?
Boy.
Man, what a beautiful day.
What's your favorite fishing hole?
Oh, I'll let
Do you
Scott
got a fishing
answer
hole?
that.
Are you fishing?
Hole would be the Atlantic Ocean around ramp 25 to 55 on Hatteras Island.
There it is right there. That's a pretty large fishing hole, Scott Morris.
So mine is the Chesapeake Bay. We used to own property out in Cape Charles, and we used to take the boat over there, and we did fishing with my daughter Yvonne and Yasmina and all that stuff for decades out there. So I'm a bay guy. You go out a little further thing, but right now this is like trout season. Right, so we used to call them weak fish up in New York, but there's a couple of holes over there that I won't tell anybody about.
My favorite fishing hole on West Main Street, I think it's called Public Fish and Oyster.
Okay.
Spend some time there. Daniel Kaufman, you do a hell of a job. Neil Williamson, good morning.
Good morning,
Thank you
Neil.
for sharing the link to your website. Gentlemen, rate hikes, yes, no.
Maybe so.
You have disinflation in China, you have obscene inflation, in Europe? You have the Fed speculation, 1/4 point in May. Now I wake up this morning, I listen to my podcasts, I pick up some of the papers online, and the expectation for a rate hike is now at a 25% clip for June.
Yeah.
I mean, every single freaking day, Scott Morris. And we have questions for you as well, but the show is yours. Where would you like to begin?
We are at some point going to, again, the beatings will continue until inflation improves. The Fed is not done. They're not seeing what they want. BlackRock is now saying that their expectation of 2% as an inflation goal is unrealistic at best. Again, something's going to break eventually, which is bad for the overall U.S. economy, but it will be good for mortgage rates. And I think we get there at some point, but we're going to continue down this path in the short term.
Mark that. Judah Wickhauer. Keith, the wheels are turning. I'm nervous.
The wheels are turning because I'm doing some math on what we talked about on Monday when we were going watt to watt, and maybe the tide has changed for inventory, and maybe we're starting to get a little bit better. And the answer to that, I think, is a flat no.
Yeah, that's no. All I've seen there is people come to terms with what kind of offers they need to make to win versus inventory actually improving.
So since Friday today in our footprint, we saw a 24% drop in actives and saw a 38% jump in pending. So we just literally did a reverse where we were hoping on Monday that, hey, maybe some of this is starting to sync up a little bit. I think what you're going to be seeing right now is, stuff that went on the market is now going into pending. We'll have a little bit more activity, I think, in inventory, but they're just going to be popping off as soon as they
I mentioned this on Monday. I mentioned this to Nikki. I mentioned this to Keith. I'll throw it to Scott. The market is so crazy right now, ladies and gentlemen, that open houses are being canceled before the open houses are happening. There's been multiple times this past weekend I saw realtors through email or social media legitimately cancel open houses because of a multiple offer scenario and then the seller just choosing to go under contract before the open house.
They just don't want to go through
Exactly.
They just want to do this, get it over with.
Right, the hassle. Right. I mean, that right there just suggests the insanity that's happening and has returned to the market. I mean, it's completely. I feel like it's even crazier than the last time you were on the show,
How
Scott.
does this work from a compliance side where, with what
Great question.
I'm seeing with coming soons and offers just coming in it comes on as coming soon. People sight unseen, they haven't even seen the house, but the offers start coming in.
I don't want to, I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I don't want to put my dear friend Keith Smith in a tough position here, but I would hope what's happening is the offers
I do
are coming
enough of that
in.
on my own. Thank you.
And I try to have your back every day on this program.
Appreciate it.
Okay. I would hope the offers are coming in the 1 minute after the day allows the house to be active. Let's hope that's when they're coming in. Because I also had similar questions. It's a real estate show. Keller Williams are presenting. So I didn't want to go any kind of sticky scenarios. I was also wondering the same stuff.
Yeah, so the Mets are doing pretty good.
Okay.
You know, I think so. I was had a nice conversation with my mother and we were watching some baseball games together. So I think the Mets are doing good. Look, so even if you put it into coming soon, that doesn't stop somebody from doing a sight unseen offer. You can do that. Somebody can make an offer.
And also to the point of the open house, the house could have gone active a couple days before the open house. To Keith's point, we're seeing houses go active on Wednesday, and the open houses happen Saturday, and the offers, deadline Sunday evening.
So I can tell you we're seeing this in Richmond. It's starting to creep up a little bit into here, and that's today is Wednesday, right? So I'll bet you tomorrow you'll see a spike in inventory a little bit. Tomorrow, Friday, and then when we do the show on Monday, we'll probably see a spike in pendings. But it's interesting looking at this. There's usually about a 24 to 48 hour lag, right, from the actual contract getting written, circulated, approved, and then ending up in the system, right? I believe somewhere around 24 to 48 hours. So that's why some of these pendings are jumping a little bit, like a couple days late in midweek, which is today on that end of it. But look, the seller's in the driver's seat, right? The seller makes the call. I personally think if you've got a scheduled open house, it's in the seller's best interest in today's market to let the open house happen. And
you buy that, Scott? Is selling, okay, here's the specific question. Here's a sizzle reel. This is a legitimate question here. Is if you're selling a home in April of 2023, do you need an open house to get full retail value?
The short answer
for your house.
The short answer
retail value
is no.
Full value.
List price. That's no. But here's why, if you don't mind me jumping in. The reason why open houses are important now, if you have a home that hits my 6, I can't get in to see it.
I totally get it. And by full retail value, I meant max value.
Got it.
Do you need an open house to have full max value on your house?
Not if it's somebody who's had their tail kicked for 3 months in a row, and this house comes on, and they go in and make an offer, and this is what I'm starting to see or hear a little bit about, and this isn't new. This is we'll be reviewing offers Sunday at 6 o'clock, and Friday at 2 p.m. We've accepted an offer. No. Do you need the open house to get that? Not if it's the right property and the purchaser is someone who's been seeking said property and wants to go in and make an offer that they can't refuse to get it off market.
So what you guys are not seeing is the agent notes on these listings, and it's specifically, most of them should say that the seller reserves the right to accept an offer prior to that deadline, right? So that is buried in the agent notes. I don't think you see that on the public side, because the sellers made that decision that this is what they want to do, and a lot of times that's what you're seeing happening here. But the reality of it is, if you can't get in, I mean, this is what's happening to us. If I can't get into a home because it's booked, we're going to take advantage of that open house to go and see it. To Jerry's point and to your point, I think if there was an open house or no open house, if it's the right location, right price, right features, right condition, it's going to get the best offer possible, regardless if it's an open house or not.
Carol Thorpe watching the program.
Hey, Carol.
She says, I don't know much about cars in general, but Mr. Thorpe, her husband, was driving a shiny brand new silver 1988 two-door Toyota Corolla the year we met. Both it and him look pretty good to me. Thank you, Carol Thorpe, for sharing that.
And probably still do look pretty good there.
Thank you very much, Carol Thorpe, for sharing that. What's that, Scott Morris?
What was that old? It was the original Toyota Celica, like the Japanese Mustang.
Oh, yeah.
I always like
Supra.
No, it was the Celica. The Celica came out in like the early '80s, pre-Supra. But it looked like a little mini fastback Mustang. It was the Japanese, the little Japanese Mustang.
So if let's put cost aside, what's your dream car?
I'm so not a car guy. I've been asked this question. I just still do not know how to answer.
I've probably got a couple of them. I don't really care. I guess I'm not that,
Well, what are your couple? We got comments here too.
Mine are just outrageous. Like, all right. So I tell you what. I'm into the whale-tail 80s Porsches that have just escalated out of like reasonable purchase price.
Those are great.
Yeah, that's one of my
that's when they were
favorites.
cars, right?
Yeah.
None of all this cup
I mean,
holder
a
crap.
non-aspirated GT3 Porsche Carrera is probably way up on my list.
But
So-
why would you even buy one here? You can't drive it. You literally
You'd
can't.
have. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Why can't you drive it?
Well, you could. but
You go to
if
jail.
Well,
No.
Yeah, you would.
There's a guy that drives
I
a
would go-
Ferrari around here.
Yeah, but if you actually
If he doesn't track it and spend $4,000 a weekend on tires, then he's wasting the car.
You're saying to enjoy a car like a Ferrari or the Porsche that you're describing.
They don't
the
settle
Porsche
in
is,
until they're
that you have to.
Track it.
Okay.
yeah, they don't settle
Gotcha.
in until like
Yeah, I mean,
100
you're not
miles
gonna
an
do
hour.
that
You'd have
around
to have
here,
the
yeah.
time, the money, and
Yeah.
to take it, get licensed. Do like track licensing,
Yeah,
and do
yeah.
all the things.
So I don't know if you know this about Yonna, but Yonna's
Yona's watching and she's got comments.
she's like, I know what her favorite car is, but she's actually
What's your favorite car, though,
licensed to rally race in Europe. She's
Really?
literally can rally race in Europe. Her favorite car is a Mustang GT Shelby. That is her.
She says Ford Mustang hands down.
Yeah,
That's what you just said.
She will, and I never understood that. So we were moving out of her last car, and this was going to be her car that she was gonna buy, and all of a sudden I got a phone call to meet her at Subaru.
Check the YouTube channel as well, Judah. Go ahead there, Keith.
To go to Subaru channel. So it's amazing what grandkids do because, we finally got to a point in life that she could buy the car that she really wants. And all of a sudden we bought a Subaru. And as the story...
Subaru's a great car.
Yeah, okay.
And
So-
Subaru was one of the top-rated cars you could buy.
the Outback's a great car.
That's what I'm saying. Subaru's got fantastic ratings.
I drove from New York City to here in a blizzard, and the thing was great. But Yonna used to drive BMWs. So I go to pick up the car with the car, and I get in, and she gets on the 64 and presses the pedal down, thinking she's driving a 3 Series or a 5 Series, and it don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And a semi comes up on my side, and she almost crunched me because, as she says, you've got to get out and push the car to make it go a little faster.
There you go. But you know what the Subaru can do? Manage a snowstorm, no problem, easy peasy.
It can. And,
it's
and by
got
the
a
way,
little more space than the BMW as well.
and holds a bunch of grandkids and a dog.
And there you go. And she says we encourage our seller clients to hold open houses to give the home maximum exposure. This comment's come in from Grayson. He also is seeing the open houses get canceled as well. And if he wonders if it does a disservice to the agent canceling open houses.
It's the seller that makes the call.
Okay.
Not the agent.
Yeah. So the sellers, doing a disservice if they've got a property that's sitting on market and they don't hold an open house and it's not being sold, then they're not probably putting enough eyeballs on it for the seller. They're not maximizing value there. But if they're counseling an open house because the seller says, we've received all the offers that we need.
Well, it's an emotional thing. I don't want to go through that. Just it's stressful enough to manage 10, 20, 30 offers because that's what's happening. It's tough on the seller, right? They just want to they want to move on with their life.
This comment for Scott Moore specifically. This is from Deep Throat. Deep Throat is a upper level finance guy, macro finance. This one's pretty technical for you here.
Okay.
He goes, I spent some time with my firm's MBS guru last week. A couple of interesting points. Would be curious to Scott Morris's take on, Jerry. One, if you look at Freddie Mac average production mortgage coupon, it is well below prevailing mortgage rates. That suggests a huge amount of buy-down activity. My guy says this is largely builder incentives. Looking at the gap, he thinks this amounts to a typical concession of 7 to 8% on price. That is not showing up in sales price of builder properties. That's the first point he wants to talk about. Then he's got a second one. Do you want to offer any perspective on that first one?
So I wouldn't see that. So this is Lennar, NVR, these Stanley Martin and larger Syntex that owns their mortgage company and the builder. So I would never see that money being given away.
Okay.
I mean, and when I compete against it and I go up, I'll say, hey, let's take a look at this. And, in 3 months, if things drastically improve, we'll just refi you from there. But competing against lender-paid buy-downs on a builder side is one of the things that separates anybody in what I do from competing with them, in the fact that we can never go give away what they're giving away to get these things done.
Nice. Keith, anything you want to throw there?
Yeah, so to add to that, so if it's new construction in our car footprint, if there's any seller concessions, they're supposed to show up when they close it out. So if there were seller concessions given, it should be shown. Now, if it is or not is a different story. But if it runs through the MLS and the builder is offering a $10,000, $6,000 closing cost assistance or whatever they're doing on that, it's supposed to show up because it impacts value. Right, so it's supposed to show up, and some of them. So I'm looking at one that just closed in Palmyra, so that in the side I can see, seller concessions $10,000. So the sale price was $402, but there was $10,000 worth of seller concessions. So if they're running through the MLSs, they need to.
When you get into smaller builders who partner with a different bank, those are concessions that, if I choose to, I can compete with. Liberty is one who partners with
That's what this one
some
is.
banks that where what they're getting on the lender side with who they're partnered with, I can compete with that all day. That's not a concern. But when you get into some of these bigger institutions that the company essentially owns the mortgage company and they own the company doing the building, that's where the competition, and quite frankly,
I knew you were going to go down there. You want to go down that road?
I mean,
unfair advantage.
If you want to put your, if we're going to look at who's getting their, putting the thumb on the scale and how do we make things more competitive, that'd be a great way to do it. And one of the ways would be to legislate something saying that if they disclose that if they put there that the builder's going to give $8,000 if you use our lender, if you can bring closed or confirmed financing, there's no reason that they should lose that incentive from the builder if you can compete with what's being given from the lender.
So the where is going to matter. I was looking through a couple of recent solds. So there's a couple of Charlottes closer to the inner urban ring. There was no seller concessions given. I'm looking at another one from Stanley Martin Homes. There was a $2,000 seller concession given on a $480,000 townhome purchase on that. So
$480,000 townhome.
Well,
that to me is,
so they call it a townhome, but it's really a duplex.
Is it attached?
It's attached, yeah. But it's an end unit, and
it's a duplex.
It's a duplex.
That's a duplex.
So I have a very difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Townhomes to me are row houses. This is.
I got to walk out in the morning, and I got to high five you on the way to the car when we're both leaving. Yeah, no thanks. Not for $450,000.
Location for some of them is pretty good. And you don't have a lot of exterior maintenance, including yard maintenance, which is always nice. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just, my point I'm making is if there is a seller concession given and runs through that, it should be noted to Deep Throat's comment. So it's there, and you've got to be able to look at it on my side of the ledger board in order to go ahead and see it.
Here's his second point for Scott. This is pretty technical here. The FHFA just changed LLPA rules, and it screws high-quality borrowers and favors low-quality borrowers. Big hike in LLPA for high credit score borrowers and big cut for low credit score borrowers. My guy says that amounts to an equivalent of 25 bips hike on mortgage rate for the high credit quality borrower and a 50 bips cut hike, or 50 bips cut for lower credit score borrowers. Dems punishing thrift and rewarding profligacy yet again.
So they actually punted those LLPAs. LLPAs are loan level price adjustments. They were supposed to go into effect, I believe, this month or at the beginning of next month, and I think they pushed that to August. There's a ton of lobbying being done right now to make that push be a permanent, take it off the table. Part of the reason that it was done to begin with is because the people who are most likely to refinance are going to be these better qualified borrowers to begin with, and it is a concern that if all of these loans that have just been originated are then taken off the table inside of the EPO period, which is an early payoff penalty that was put in place post-2009, that there could be some serious adverse effect to these mortgage companies. Well, the problem is at the moment, they were put in place originally thinking that we'd be going into May and June with a flood of refinances, but with what we're seeing in rates sticking where they are, that is yet to be the case. So at some point, they want to prevent an avalanche of refinances, and how that could, for the inventory that's being taken off, purchased right now. And the people who are going to be most likely and most capable to refinance are going to be better qualified borrowers. So that's why they did it. I don't agree with the fact that they did it. I don't, if you're somebody who has 80% or better equity, or 20% or better equity, and are a well-qualified credit person, you shouldn't be being punished because you have the ability to refinance.
I'm even going to touch that. That's way above.
Technical.
Way above
Nice.
my pay
Nice.
grade.
That's good right there. That's the, I think, the most technical question you've gotten on the show, right? Those two?
Probably.
Yeah. Deep Throat on Twitter over there. Keith?
Yeah, so I do want to kind of take it back a little bit to some of the conversation we had Monday, and one of our callers that viewers came in, we were having the discussion about, well, how do I sell and buy, right, when in today's market? And what I want to kind of tie it in a little bit is some of the tools that you can use to help. So my recommendation was, particularly this case, they had a ton of equity in their home, was just to put your home on the market, right, sell it, see if we do a 60-day lease back, and then go and find something to buy, right, and use that 60 days to do that. Good advice, bad advice? Do you have any other tools or tricks?
I think that's great advice. I will say an interesting thing. So when we talk about, I talked about this, if not last week, the week before, the dividing line in America, which is an anomaly. For the first time, we're seeing East Coast properties, ton of activity, West Coast properties, declining markets, all of these things. Now, if you go a little bit further west to the beautiful Isles of Hawaii, you can see, when you look on Zillow, a fleet of $1 million homes for sale.
Oh, yeah.
like inventory that we would just be chomping at the bit for. And there's a lack of, it's not that there's no one that's going to go in there and acquire any of it, but there certainly is a lot of it in comparison to, say, anywhere that has that kind of interest on the East Coast. Because, one, what it takes to get there, where the economy is headed. When we were going into COVID and there was the money machine started going burr, it was a place to go to and work remote from, and there was high-level tech jobs on the West Coast, and they hadn't started shedding so much of that. And now you're seeing a migration to the East Coast for the bulk of those types of employment. You're seeing much higher interest rates than when those homes were purchased 3 years ago, and people who had not had full exposure to island fever, who have now spent a couple years there and want to go home and are finding themselves trying to figure out how to get these properties off market.
Can't sell them.
When you were in the Marine Corps, did you know anybody that actually was stationed in Hawaii?
Yeah, I know a bunch of people.
And what was the number one thing they would always say? After a while, paradise is a bit too much.
Yeah, like I was on Okinawa, which is another like tropical island, beautiful. Some of the best diving in the world. They've got very similar to Hawaii with the pineapple wineries and these pineapple farms and stuff like that. Super cool stuff. But I think I would enjoy it more now than I did it. I don't know if I could enjoy it more.
Yeah, we need.
We don't need to know. We don't need to know.
But at the same time, I would probably run its course as far as after a little while, I'd be like, okay, this is cool, but I'm ready to go. It's like, the man who eats steak every day, a can of beans is delicious.
Right. We took our honeymoon in Hawaii. We went to Maui and Kauai, 13 days.
Ooh.
Interestingly, about 9 months later, Trey was born. That was Hawaii. It was certainly very beautiful. I did not know there were that many homes on the market in Hawaii. And that makes sense. People that went there for COVID, they bought these properties at lower price points, 30% less value at a different interest rate, and now they can't move them. We don't have that problem here. Why don't we have that problem here? People moved here, say Manhattanites, or say people from big urban environments, and they moved to Charlottesville. I'm not seeing the buyer remorse from the Charlottesville area. Is that just a testament to how sweet this spot is? Or do you see the buyer's remorse? Because I don't see it here.
So I think that's specifically what I'm talking. Like what you're still seeing migrating into the area, and what makes competition so difficult is people who are selling in high value areas coming to the table with additional cash to step in and say, well, I'm going to finance the home, but I'll also pay this gap. This is, we've got this money from this previous sale.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you guys unwillingly stepped into a debate Yonna and I are having.
About what?
About will what happens in West Coast migrate its way to the East Coast? And it's interesting. I've been doing this long enough to know that usually what happens, the last time of great unpleasantness,
left to right,
it went from left to right. And then usually the improvements go left to right as the market starts changing that. And we were comparing it to what happened last time, and this going to happen? And it's a very different set of dynamics than what happened last time. And we've talked about this till we were blue in the face, why it's not. But what is happening now is they're leaving California for whatever reason.
Well, I can give you a ton of reasons for leaving California.
Yeah.
My brother lives in California. Culver City, what up?
Yeah, and you know what? San Diego's a great city to visit a couple of times a year, but that's about it. So, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody who lives in San Diego, but they're coming here now, right? And it's interesting. I'm in my suit and tie because I'm going to go to Albemarle County Board of Supervisors and talk on the public comments about the land trust.
Later today.
But I'm also hanging around if I can get my schedule adjusted, because they're going to do a work session on their affordable dwelling unit. And a shout out to Neil, as usual, did a great write-up on that. And here's my 2-second comment on that. If it gets approved the way it's currently written, there will be no more new construct. I can't even say it. Just the fact that
No
no
more
more
new
new construction built in Albemarle County, which is only going to make the affordability and the inventory tighter, more expensive. It is just really not going to accomplish anything. So my hope is that they kind of retool it or defer it or whatever, but that's why I'm in a suit and tie today.
You know, I think that's what the community may want, or a large portion may want that. I mean, I think that's where the political capital might be.
And if they want it,
That's what's coming.
And I get it.
Coming. And why it's different from 2008 is folks are sitting on equity. They're not using their home as a piggy bank, and there's stricter lending requirements in place.
So
if anything, the lending requirements are tightening. Are they not?
Oh,
So,
Are your lending requirements tightening?
no.
No?
I haven't, there hasn't been some massive shift from investors.
but you got to compare to 2004, 5, and 6.
What
it's
we'll
much tighter.
see, so we'll see more along the lines of what Deep Throat was mentioning as far as direction from the Fed, Fannie, Freddie, FHFA on loan level price adjustments they're going to put in place, just like they did with second homes when they wanted to slow that down. They made that as painful to buy as an investment. So that went from where you were buying at essentially no difference than your primary residence as far as rate goes, to where you're generally about a full percentage point higher, give or take, credit situation, et cetera. And so we've already seen some tightening, but that's part of it's something that they haven't even implemented because they thought it was a good idea, and then they realized that it's not a great idea. And you'll see they'll shift, like, they being Fannie Freddie will shift some risk value inside of DU and LP, which is desktop underwriter and loan prospector, to where it may be more difficult to get approved eligible findings, or you'll see for certain credit situations a number of months of reserves being monies not spent that you must have after the transaction will accrue in order to hedge against risk in loaning the money to individuals. So those are the types of things that you'll see before anything else. And when it comes to tightening, investors want loans to go out. They want people to pay them back. The risk is held at a federal level on how that's dispersed down into the system.
Scott, let me throw this to you. How do you stay up to date with trends? What's the content you're reading, and what kind of content are you getting from, say, Ross, top of the pyramid?
Really, TikTok is a good one.
Some
Instagram
people are not
Reels.
watching you, so they're not going to pick up on the sarcasm here.
Oh, okay. So no, that is not where I read a lot of publication stuff. I try to stay in tune with both the broker world and the retail side when it comes to who's doing what products are available, how they're getting them done. I don't know. I actually don't watch any TikTok, like none.
Yeah.
It's
not even on your. Is it on your phone?
Wall Street Journal. It's on my phone because at one point in time,
Is TikTok on your phone, Keith?
Every coach,
It is?
professional, et cetera, was like the Gary V's. If you're not here, man, you're missing out. And I didn't want to miss out. So then I said I was going to do it, and then I realized quickly that I'm not.
I have such a love-hate relationship with Gary
TikToking.
V.
I'm not
such
TikToking.
a love-hate relationship.
He talks like I talk, which I have to edit myself for the show. But
You're saying with the F word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it much more off air than I do on air. I got reprimanded multiple times by the better half, and then heard from others that they were actually in the same boat as her. Then I'm like, all right, I gotta make some adjustments. But I do appreciate his authenticity. He is true to who he is as a person. And he's unabashed at displaying that. And that takes courage.
I am too sometimes. To my
Yeah,
own
right,
detriment.
exactly. That takes courage.
But it also takes courage to realize it's a bit too much and walk it back.
There's a fine line between courage and abrasiveness.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between those two. Jason Howard wants you to elaborate what Albemarle is proposing with ADUs.
So ADU, so we have to define the term ADUs. It can be confusing to folks, right? So ADUs means two different things. Thank you very much for acronym world. It could mean auxiliary dwelling unit, right? So that's your granny flat. Or the way they're using it in this case is the affordable dwelling unit. I wish they would use different acronyms.
So tough.
It confuses.
I mean, like Deep Throat's comment, like I know a fair amount about real estate thanks to you guys, but the LLPA, the FHFA,
it's an alphabet soup.
Oh my goodness, it's so challenging.
Well,
and Scott handled it well, but he speaks the talk, the average Joe. I should have probably started with the statement by like, Scott, what is this guy asking? That's what I should have probably started with.
Yeah, I got lost halfway through the question, and Deep Throat is.
I thought I did a decent
No.
You did a decent job.
You explained it well. I figured it out.
I am
with
not
your
a
answer.
smart person, so I just talk to myself like I'm talking to myself.
I figured it out from your answer. I didn't know what
time out. What did you do? You talk to yourself like you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
So how does that go? You
That's
just
how
walk around talking to yourself?
I explained something to someone
That explains
else
a lot,
the way
by
that
the
I
way.
hope
You can stop
someone would
right there.
explain it to me.
You can stop right there, Scott. That explains so
I
much.
love Scott so much. God.
I was in a meeting the other day, and I said something, and the person turned around and looked at me and goes, "That's the first time you've heard that too." And I went, "You know what? You're right. That was the first time I heard it." Look, so the affordable dwelling unit. So make a very long story short, they've adopted 2 years ago, the affordable housing.
So this is an affordable dwelling unit, not an accessory dwelling unit.
There you go.
All right, I heard it earlier. I was like,
That's what I'm saying. Why would they pick the same acronym, the same, and why would they pick the same, like the RIP, the residential infield project? Isn't that what it was in Portland?
But that's from Portland.
Was it Portland, the RIP?
Yeah, but that
like,
fits.
why the hell?
Rest in peace.
Because Portland embraces weird? Is that what you're going to say?
There you go. If you know anything about Portland,
they like weird.
The weirder, the better. So
that's why RIP works.
That totally works there on that. But in this case, it's confusing people, right? And this is why we're doing the long format, and this is why we do what we do here. So we are not talking about auxiliary dwelling units. We're not talking about...
Which we love.
Absolutely. I am a part of a national cohort that's working on that. This is completely different. This is an affordable dwelling unit program or policy. And it's been 2 years in the making. It is a different way of looking at this. We've talked about this before, is the developer incentive program. And if you read through Neil's writing and the links and all this stuff, it's a bunch of reading. I've done it multiple times. And to be frank with you, I understand this world, and it confuses me. Bottom line is, if you're going to do a subdivision, if this goes as written over 10 units, you have to provide 20% affordable dwelling units. And look, here's the reality. The way this is written, Keith and Jerry are not going to do a development in Albemarle County if this gets put together. So you're actually not going to get any affordability or any affordable.
These people are saying, these folks are saying that if you do a housing project, that 1 in 5 of the units have to be affordable and tied to AMI.
There's a whole list.
If they do over 10 units in the project.
So if you read through Neil's
no one's
going
to do that.
That's exactly right.
No one's going to do that.
Nobody's going to do that. And no
one's going to do that.
And Neil's home county is just going to get bigger and bigger. Greene County, some of the outside and county. So if the game plan is to not create affordable housing affordability, then this is the right way to do it. If you want to, unfortunately, I think it's going to have to go back to the original thing and start all over again. I will tell you, I've been doing...
Start all over again?
I've been saying that about the government for a long time.
Yes, you have, Scott. Start all over again. What do you mean? Start all over again to what point? Start all over again?
I think you need to start all over. It's a work session.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
So it's a work session.
Where? Start all over again at what point here, Keith?
Scott, let the adults talk, okay?
No props. No props.
Do you need a wall to destroy or something? I'll give you the skid steer and go destroy the wall. You know I love you, right?
God, I love you guys so much.
Thank God nobody watches or listens.
Start all over again to what point?
Okay, Smith need to bring it back around.
No. Okay, and you got Neil commenting, and you got the local newspaper watching. By the way,
great.
So
Thanks.
Neil says Albemarle's affordable dwelling unit program is a bad way to integrate increased inclusionary zoning.
Yeah. So to simplify that language, at the end of the day, nobody from private sector or the nonprofit world is going to implement that. They're just not going to do it because the math will never work. So a 10-unit project, you'd have to do 2 affordable. And as the chairperson of the land trust, just to put it in perspective, we put 23 homes in the last 18 months, 65% AMI and below.
That's legit.
It took us a 10-to-1 ratio. We had to go through 10 buyers to produce one. All of those 10 buyers met the income requirements, but we had to coach them through PHA and financial coaching. These folks were not ready to qualify for a loan. So this is going to be extremely complicated. It's extremely difficult to do. My opinion of it in reading it is that they ought to go back to the drawing board and try to figure out a better way to do this. I've been doing this for 35 years. My biggest fear is that mission creep will creep in. Things will just get approved to get approved. But the way it's currently written, unless Ned corrects me and I'm reading it wrong, I do not see it improving housing affordability at all. I think it does the opposite.
He says, in addition, Neil does, these units must be similar in size, similar in landscaping, similar in amenities, and be positioned throughout the development. What? This is ridiculous.
So the question is great. Okay.
No one's going to do a project like this.
So I'm going to do a 200-unit project, and 20% of them need to be affordable. Look, the land trust is built perfectly to help with that, right? But if there's not subsidy, right, if there's not red tape turning into green tape, if there's not any way to do this, the Stanley Martins, the Ryans, all these developers don't know how to actually sell an affordable dwelling unit. That's how I got involved with the 23 with Stanley Martin to go ahead and do
What
this.
if they don't care? What if they do a 200-unit project?
The math won't work. Yeah, the math won't work. So part of that also in there is I bet you they got to actually build them.
Well, no.
He's saying take the remainder 80% and jack up the price?
Yeah.
To accommodate for the 20% being sold at below value? Mm-hmm.
Well, as somebody who's put a fair amount of road in,
Keith's response to that is they're not going to get the loan financing to do a project like that if they put the model together like that.
It won't pencil out.
I mean, isn't the bulk of their costs going to be in the site work to get the project to begin with? So why couldn't they eat that?
It won't pencil. Believe me, it's hard to explain in a show like this, but I can assure you it won't pencil out.
So who benefits from this?
So did this model did they look at it the way like somebody buying a car or first time buyer,
we're going to find out.
Just pull a number out of the sky, or is this a model that they've seen somewhere else that they've taken and they've applied here? And if they did that, then there's clearly someone doing it somewhere else if that's the case.
So we're going to find out at the work session today on exactly how because this has just dropped recently, like the last 24, 48 hours.
Did they give it like a cool album pose when it
They had a microphone and everything, brother.
Who makes the final decision? Board of Supervisors?
Yeah. So this will be a work session. My hope is that through the work session, this will get better on it. But as it's written right now, I don't see how it has any legs of improving anything.
This is from Stephen. He says that would benefit Fluvanna, Greene, and the surrounding counties, though.
That you're 100% right. That's the reason why I said Neil's home county, which is Greene County, will. Well, there are already 1,800 units in the pipeline. The surrounding counties now. Fluvanna County, on the other hand, you can't get a project approved in Fluvanna County because they just don't want any new developments there on that end of it. So Greene will do that, but that pushes this rubber band out. So it'll be going to the other side of the hill, right? It'll be going out to Greene. Nelson's very difficult to development because of the terrain. You can see it happen in Fluvanna, but at the moment, you couldn't get another project approved in Fluvanna anyway. So it's only going to put more pressure on this inventory. And, to be honest with you, I'm championing this housing affordability, but how I make my day job, how I pay my bills, less is more for me. But that's not the right thing for the community.
Is it? No, you still need something to sell.
Yeah, well,
you need inventory on the market.
I need inventory on the market, but if the what's here starts going up in price, I make more money.
I totally get that. But if what here goes up in price, but also diminishes in sales volume, units sold, it also becomes more difficult to make money.
It's going to make everything that we've been talking about, the competition, the realtor pool, everything is just going to get way more pressure on it. The real reason they won't come through all this stuff and all that, well, they'll go to Greene County, it's called the path of least resistance.
That's what I'm saying.
Mrs. Smith always says that about Mr. Smith.
Yeah, that's the way you go?
Well, it's the developer in me, right? You just want to take the path of least resistance. But that's
I think Mrs. Miller would say that about Mr. Miller.
That is an inside family.
And you know what our response to that is?
My response is?
Work smart, not hard. That's what you say, right?
I'm all about delegation.
Work.
I'm really good at it.
Listen, dude, I had this conversation last week. Literally last week I had this conversation. How about this from Kev? Why can't builders turn to a more reusable industry? We've become such a disposable society. Waste in building is amazing. A certain trash company has developed another business grinding construction waste into mulch that people line up to buy.
Absolutely.
So he wants to see more repurposed building.
Smart idea.
Bill McChesney says the home that's been in the news, the big manor home on Rich Street, it used to be, like you were describing, cottages on the back side of the street by the alley for servants to live in with the ADUs.
Yeah, so that's a whole different conversation. That ordinance is very different than the one that we're talking about right now.
This comment has come in. What's the Hawaii version of our local area? Please ask Keith and Scott that question. So the Hawaii version of our local area, that's a reference to earlier in the show where Scott was talking about the glut of inventory on the market in Hawaii. We don't have that here. Do we have a glut of inventory anywhere? No.
I don't want to put words in Scott's mouth, and you jump in, Scott, when I'm wrong here. A lot of it was part of COVID, right? People were told you're going to be able to work remotely. Hey, I'm making all this money. I'm going to go live in Hawaii and work remotely. Now they're being told they got to come back. That's the first impact on it. And then the second impact on it is, paradise is great until it's not, right? And they want to leave before that, which is causing, I think, we really haven't, that kind of scenario. And I'm going to look at Nelson County a little bit while you're talking. Maybe Nelson might be the only example locally where some people may have moved out there and kind of regretting it a little bit and trying to move again. But without the numbers in front of me, I don't want to make that as a final statement. I'll let my dear friend Scott jump in.
There's no glut of inventory.
There's no potential softening, I guess. We could make a comparison, like, is everybody out there still killing it in the local Airbnb game? I mean, because at some point, discretionary income decreases, that is probably the first thing that's going to dry up. And if that's the case, then where do those homes come to market? But if they do, then most likely there's still not enough of them to create some inventory. I mean, it's all beneficial right now, but I just don't know. Go jump on Zillow, go jump on Realty, something with a map that shows you what's for sale. Go take a look at what I'm talking out there, and then compare it to here, and you'll go, oh, maybe that just doesn't exist.
Well, if the way it's written, not the auxiliary dwelling unit, but the affordable dwelling unit gets passed, it's only going to make inventory tighter.
What's this house on Ridge Street? What's that? I'm not up to speed on that.
I'll send you the link. The Daily Progress Hall Spencer did an article on a home that's on the market for sale. Bill, was it purchased? I don't think it was purchased. A local historian is looking to utilize taxpayer resources to purchase the home to build a museum of some capacity. But it's in the CVille area, and it's a manor home. It's massive.
It's over by UVA, right?
Yeah, it's on a massive parcel of land in the city of Charlottesville, like a few acres.
Yeah.
Oh,
If
is
anyone
this-
can share the
Oh,
link.
is it whatchamacallit, isn't it like the family that owned the thing for, is it that house?
Yeah. So it was done by a famous architect. I actually know a little bit about this. I had clients a couple of years ago trying to buy it and turn it into a development, which we didn't go anywhere with it. But I'm working on Nelson County right now. So
This is an interesting comment here. Can I use? Yeah, okay, I can use her name. Leslie Frank watching the program here. I was on the MLS recently, and I saw one of Keith's colleagues, Macon Gunner, market a property in Farmington. It was an undeveloped property or a piece of land, and he utilized this terminology, and I'll paraphrase, that it's arguably the most valuable undeveloped piece of land left in Albemarle County. Does anybody want to take a crack at that?
yeah, well, that's kind of that's a lot of words that mean nothing. It's just an opinion, right?
I mean, it's in a high-dollar neighborhood.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with it?
Put a house on there.
Oh yeah, sure. But when you say develop it, at least my brain is that.
Oh,
what the
no.
word-
I don't think she means this from a put a house on
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But if
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and develop it,
Let me
that's
see if
true.
I can find that.
That, or I think I just found Oaklawn. Is that the property that we're talking
That's
about?
exactly right.
Gotcha.
That's the one in Fifeville?
Yeah.
Yeah? You
It's
gonna buy that?
It was built by a famous architect, and I can't remember who.
Tied to Thomas Jefferson. It's got ties to Jefferson.
It does, and I think the architect
James Dinsmore.
Yeah.
Is that Jefferson's brick mason?
For Colonel Nibrod Bramham.
What's the price tag on that?
4.2.
How many acres?
It's like about
5.2.
Yeah, 5 acres.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. So my client
5
wanted
acres?
to
Whew.
do student housing on that.
And somebody wants to use taxpayer funds to buy this. It's the
A
most Charlottesville
guy-
thing I ever heard in my life.
Hall Spencer wrote something in the Sunday Daily Progress that I read about a gentleman who has risen to the forefront. He's made pitches to Lloyd Sanook, the mayor, about utilizing tax money to build a museum there. And he's got different themes for the large structure. Like each portion of the building would be a different theme of history, if you may.
Anybody want to take bets that doesn't happen?
I don't think that will happen.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that will happen. But I do, I mean, the point's been made on the show before that the city is approving all this real estate for hotel space.
Sure.
And approving hotel space in the city seems
What do they need more
counterintuitive.
hotel space for? Don't they have a big hotel over here they're not using?
Well, the point that was made was approving hotel space in the city seems counterintuitive to the push for upzoning or creating more housing density.
So Nelson County lost 6% quarter over quarter in value. The number's super high, right? There was this quarter, the median sales price, single family detached, excluding everything in Wintergreen, right? Because we need to do that. Thank you to Todd Rath on that for helping me with that. Was 540 last year. It was 574. So that's 6%. And to put it into perspective, Lake Monticello went up 10%. So I think you're seeing folks kind of moving out, and the volume of sales though are 7 this last quarter. Last year it was 19. So they're much less, but we're also going down. And I think a lot of that is just folks moving out of, rural county or whatever.
We are under hotel though. I mean, I know the point that you're trying to make about the Dewberry. Let's put some pressure on getting the Dewberry and make that a reality. But we are under hoteled in the area.
So depending on who you talk to, and Neil would know this number, some people have said as much as 4,000 rooms. I think that's a little strong. But
We were talking yesterday on the show, and I saw Neil watching the show yesterday. He was commenting. Neil, we love when you comment. The new hotel by the Darden School.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Forum. It's a Kipton hotel.
Yeah, sure.
It's Kipton's first crack at a hotel on a school campus.
Yep.
The one at UVA at Darden
Have you been in it?
The ribbon cutting was this past week. I did not go. Did you go to the ribbon cutting?
No, I accidentally on purpose wandered it one day when it was being built.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. He may even have photos, Judah, that he can put on screen of this hotel. But what the point Neil made yesterday, this has an event and conference area.
Yep.
That this is going to drive potentially midweek business for the area.
Right. 100% right.
And the midweek business is huge.
What was the population thing?
Oh, Judah's got photos. This is the hotel.
The population thing you were just talking about?
Population thing.
So I posted a thing about growth in Virginia since the pandemic the other day. So 2022, the
No,
state.
so I was referring to people moving from areas that were during COVID that were locked in. I'm working remotely. I've got high speed
Gotcha.
internet. Now I have to go back to work and I'm moving out. And I was trying to compare what might be happening in Nelson County a little bit to what's happening in Hawaii, where now.
You're saying Nelson County is the Hawaii of Central Virginia.
But like minuscule amount.
Charlottesville has actually had a 2.4% decline in population since 2020, where all the surrounding counties have grown.
What do we attribute that decline to?
I think a lot of it has to do with the footprint, right?
I think the decline with Charlotte, you think it's the footprint?
Well, it's not growing anymore. There's no new homes coming on, and plus the cost is going high. People are moving out. That would be my.
I think it's the cost of living and the expansion of UVA.
Yeah.
UVA expanding, they take up the limited housing stock locally, forcing the local or the OG to move deeper into Central Virginia.
Well, that's kind of like what we've talked about as far as being the service provider inside, whether it be police, fire, teacher, nurse. In order to afford to be here, they're all being pushed further and further out into surrounding counties.
And that's the point I made, 100%. And the point I made, if you're rocking a business, if you're trying to start a business, or you currently have a business, and your
labor
business
force?
is dependent on a labor force that's $12 to $22 an hour, you better think something quick. 1222 ain't going to be able to stay in this area close to your business that long, and then they're eventually going to say, do I keep working at your business because I'm having to drive 45 minutes one way for $15 an hour, and it just, seventh grader's going to figure that out eventually, that it's not going to add up.
15. That number's closer to $20-25.
Okay, I mean, take the number to $25 an hour, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of which, our chemistry is working a little bit. So in the conversation on the Kipton, did the conversation come up on where the workers are going to come from to actually take
That was
care of it?
that was on yesterday's show, and Andre Xavier and Katie Pearl says people are leaving Charlottesville because of the politics. I think part of that is the politics in the area. Maybe you can throw a little crime too.
And I love Katie to death. You can see that both ways. You can see people that like the politics moving in, and people don't like the politics moving out. So that could be a balance on that, but I think it's more what you outlined. It's a cost of living. It's too expensive.
And it's not just the Forum Hotel by Darden, dude. It's also the Foundation's rocking a new hotel as well, and conference center. So like we legitimately have two state-of-the-art. Katie's got kids probably watching. I was going to say, two super sweet hotels right next to each other. With conference centers and event spaces.
Which we desperately need. We need conference centers.
The one by Darden's got two restaurants.
So
it's got a steakhouse in it, and it's got a sports bar in it.
Just are we short on restaurants right now?
But I mean, hey, it's
So
got
it's not
the Kipton money though.
So it's
the people
not-
they're going to be hiring are coming with the Kipton money.
It's totally not the restaurants. What it is, the Regional Housing Partnership, we did our summit. We only had 200 people, and the only place available was the Omni, right? And we had to turn away. We had 100 more people that wanted to come, so we could have had 300 people. There's not a facility to do that. So if you go over to this hotel and it hits 300, 400,
And there's two of them. There's literally two of them opening up right next to each other.
And what they'll do, I know you do enough conferences, I surely do, and I know Jerry does, usually kind of stay where they're at, right? You stay at the hotel, you eat where they're at, right? Because you're doing a 2 or 3 day conference on it. So I think they're going to do great.
I think they're going to kill it.
Oh, yeah,
I think they're going to kill it.
Well, where is this?
The problem is what's the cause and effect? And the cause and effect is the strain on the labor pool. And the peeps that cannot afford to pay or match the pay of the Kipton or the UVA Foundation are the mom and pops that rely on these frontline people, and they're going to leave for the Kimpton and these other jobs.
The fastest way not to have somebody come back is not to provide the service. So if I come into Kipton and it's just, they don't have the folks to service.
I think the Kimpton is going to have the service, though.
Well, that's what he's saying. He's saying.
But how's that going to happen?
I think the Kimpton and UVA are going to have more perks to offer, compensation
got
offer.
it. Okay,
Because
now
they
it
have
makes
more backing.
Got
And they're going to pull from the local people.
It's the classic Four Seasons story where
The Wegmans effect.
I stayed because the service was of such high quality. It's a bad thing happened. They addressed they're going to absorb that high end and they're going to pay their people enough to continue to operate there. But those people are going to be sucked out of the labor pool from your local establishments.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more difficult for local establishments to continue to compete with these types
And
of
we saw that when Wegmans opened. When Wegmans opened, they took the A and B players from restaurants and offered them benefits and health care and more stable hours and not crappy work Saturday night, then open Sunday brunch and have no sleep. So they took a lot of the frontline talent.
So that's called cannibalism, right? They're going to cannibalize the local folks to go there because UVA can waive its magic checkbook.
Yeah, and the Kipton.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's a little bit of both on that end of it. But I'm excited for it because this will get event space come.
Yeah.
Some people will stay at the site, but some people will spread out, over there. They'll be going to the mill room, all these different folks locations over there.
That whole side of town is booming. There's Selvage Brewery is moving from Woolen Mills
That's
and
big
the Wool
news.
Factory
That's big
to across from Burwood Golf Course.
Yeah.
To the old Grit Coffee Distillery.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's the current Grit Coffee Distillery.
Is Tokyo Rose still over there?
Nah, that place closed. That place was awesome. Yeah, fantastic live music and fantastic fresh sushi in a questionable environment.
Well,
Tokyo Rose.
That's how you're supposed to have it.
Oh,
right?
it's fantastic. It was absolutely.
I miss that place. And then you can get a tattoo. You can get some. Yeah, it was actually great little spot. Sorry that they closed up.
This comment comes in. The talent is going to come from the restaurants for these jobs, and it's going to only hurt the restaurants from a survival standpoint because they're struggling right now. That's going to happen.
I've been saying that we're about to play the winners and losers, and there's some zombies out there that just are getting by. It's a matter of time.
I got a trivia question for you.
Zombies. I'm keeping a track of the topics here.
I like zombies. Yeah. Trivia question for you, Scott and Keith.
Movie.
This came up yesterday. Which location in Central Virginia has the most TVs for your viewing pleasure? And not Crutchfield or Best Buy.
Is it
We're talking about
Jerry's.
No, a bar.
Okay.
Bar or restaurant.
Are we limiting it to what? What area?
Just you could say Central Virginia. I mean, it's going to be Charlottesville or Albemarle County, just because that's where the people are.
Got it. Huh. I'm the wrong person to talk about that because that's kind of not my thing, right? So I wouldn't know what sports.
See, the wheels are turning over there for Scott.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know with like you would think like a Buffalo Wild Wings, but it's clearly not.
Buffalo Wild Wings in top 5. Actually, it's top 3. Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'm
Want me to tell you?
I do.
Lazy Parrot.
Oh, is it Lazy Parrot?
And then number 2, Pro Renata. We actually have a message. The Pro Renata guys heard us talking about this on the show yesterday, Judah, and they're going to send us the total number of TVs that they have. They're doing an official count and sending us the number. But it's Lazy Parrot number 1 and Pro Renata 2. Pro Renata on their voicemail says they have 16 TVs. Lazy Parrot, which Judah figured out, Lazy Parrot has more than that. Pan-top
Look at that. I learned something today. Zombies, cars, TVs. And
TVs during sports, while wings and beer is important.
Yeah, I know. I get it. It's just
Lazy Parrot in its old location was.
But I spent many a night there. It was a dungeon of fun.
Yeah.
I am riding a race that Pro Renata's putting a bike race on. So
Pro Renata's amazing.
Yeah. So
Dude's crushing it over there. I would love to see a Pro Renata in Keswick.
that style. Or
Anything like Pro Renata,
Keswick, as in Keswick Hall, or as in the Keswick area?
the Keswick area.
Yeah, got it.
I think the Keswick area is prime for something like that. And would
And they
support it.
tried it. What's the one on 20?
Shadwell's?
Yeah. I don't know. Why?
Shadwell's is not Keswick.
Okay.
Shadwell's is Pantops.
Got it. Why
The
does that-
Shadwell's, or isn't that the place that was?
It was the Piedmont.
It was right there at the base of Martha Jefferson. Like
Yeah,
that little,
yeah, the big restaurant.
Yeah,
The
in
Piedmont.
front, in front of the
awfully close.
Holiday Inn, or where the
Yeah,
hotel is right
by
there.
the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's close enough to Shadwell,
That's
right?
Pantops. That's Pantops.
So the little market right there is the closest thing. Like something.
You're talking in Keswick?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one at the X?
Yeah, the one that
Yeah,
used
the gas
to be,
station?
Yeah, I used to
That's
live.
the Legacy Market.
Yes. So I used to live there. Well, its legacy was not as high profile as it is now. When it was like just a corner store, like, you know, it was not your nicest place.
Why would you spend so much time there?
Because it was like an easy place to stop and like grab some beers on the way home.
Okay,
or, like,
so you were driving that way.
It
Okay,
was-
gotcha.
The parking was better than it is now because it was like a
Parking is
gravel, like-
miserable.
oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. This is the one at the X at the traffic light across
yeah.
from Lucky Stone.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I love this.
If you were to go further down, I think you might be able to. The problem is if that corner or that area is ideal, but there's actually like a little shopping center that's got like a wine store and some other stuff.
Yeah,
across
it's
the
right
street.
behind there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where I
yeah.
think it should go.
Okay,
And the wine store.
Something would be
I love
good
the wine
there.
store. I'm not knocking the wine store.
Or something just further down.
That's
maybe
exactly where it should go.
Not as far as what's the next little area? It's what's wrong with my brain? So you pass Glenmore. You go through
Black Cat Road?
Yeah, past Black Cat Road. It's
Okay.
down on the left. There's a little gas station store down there.
Oh, you're talking about right before you get on to. I know, I got it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
go past Black Cat Road.
And then you don't go past. Are you allowed to?
I don't go past Black Cat Road. I just don't have a need to. I don't have a need to. That's
Yeah. So
just driving wise.
it was a little market that they had there
Yes.
in the corner. Somebody actually, our friends, the Suttons and Tiger Fuel,
Yeah.
was actually trying to do something there, and it got shot down.
That's 100% right.
Yeah.
With my buddies Kip White and the White family. They were trying to put a Tiger Fuel,
That's
like
exactly-
a Bel Air type market there.
That's exactly
And it
right.
got shot down. It would have created like 23 jobs. Suttons, I love the idea.
And
It would've
you would have
killed
had a
it.
place
I
to
lived there.
stop to get beer.
I live there. I live in that area. I would have crushed it.
But you would have had to go up to Black Cat.
Yeah, you would have had to cross.
No, it was on Black Cat Road, is where they were proposing.
Yeah. So as long as you don't
right
cross
there
it,
at
you're
that
good.
corner where there's like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
house thing or trees
Yeah,
or whatever.
they were proposing in that on Black Cat Road, so I wouldn't have had to go on.
Who opposes it? Is it like Keswick that doesn't want that there because like you're like close to their back entrance?
All right, so this is what memory serves. This was a couple years ago. We won't go deep down the rabbit hole, but yes, you got local NIMBY opposition, and it was specifically to vehicle traffic, and specifically to vehicle traffic after hours and how it impacted quality of life.
It's the same folks who are going to love this.
How it impacted quality of life.
Affordable
It was like
dwelling
20-some
unit
jobs that they were going to create there. Oh, Kevin Yancey's is the Beaver Dam Market.
Yes.
There you go.
God,
Well
I
done.
love it.
Well
Nicely done, Yancey.
Well done, Kevin.
God, that was one of your best comments right there.
Yeah, but it's actually it's had a bunch of iterations of names, but I'm not so sure if it's Beaver Dam right now. I think they're calling it something else, but it is the Beaver Dam Market.
When it was a
as I remember.
7-day junior, Bill McChesney says
right.
it had good morning biscuits.
That's right. Yeah.
The 7-day junior. Have you been to the Sismont Market in Sismont?
Nope.
That's more toward Castle Hill and Keswick.
Got it.
Sismont Market is legit and has good sandwiches.
I'm not allowed to go past that intersection.
Is it the one? Is that the white building with the right at the intersection of 22? What's that?
Sismont Market. So if you're at the Legacy, the gas station at the X, you take a left,
Yeah.
like you're going, and then it'll be
So
2
you
or
pass
3 miles
post
on the
office,
left.
Keswick,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's
On the left.
right there.
It's got
where the-
huge
where 22
parking,
branches
white
off.
building.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic spot right there.
Yeah, they got some good sandwiches.
Great sandwiches.
So,
right
gentlemen, I hate to be the one, but I've got a hard stop at 11:30 because I've got to go get ready to chat to the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors.
there. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Scott Morris, closing thoughts for anyone? Reach out to you.
Yeah, if you need anything, we haven't seen a lot of movement in rates. They've been kind of trapped in a little bit of a 6 1/4, 6 3/4 for the past few months. That seems to be the case for the future. It's very competitive. If you've gone out there and you haven't won, keep going after it. You'll find your spot. If you found the one and it didn't work out, it wasn't the one. You'll find the one that is. We saw a lot of we had a ton of success this past weekend after people going through some months of pain. So it's out there. Inventory is going to ebb and flow. Things are going to come on. You'll have the ability to go after them. If you have any questions, you want to run numbers, just whatever it is, don't hesitate to reach out. We want to help you.
So to that point,
Ross Mortgage, Scott Morris.
on Friday, there were 69 pendings. Right now, so by the way, we started the show at 112. It just bumped up to 115. So people are buying, stay in the game, get a trusted advisor, Scott Morris, anybody in the Real Talk with Keith Smith's partners tab, pull them down. Trusted advisors help you get across the finish line. But homes are being bought. You just got to stay in the game.
Keith Smith is a realtor. He helps people buy and sell homes. He's one of the principals at Yes Realty Partners. Scott Morris is a loan officer. He's just an all-around great guy, just like Keith. Scott Morris of Ross Mortgage, Keith Smith of Yes Realty Partners, Judah Wickower, myself, Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk, the I Love CVille show in 59 minutes. Keith Smith is on time. Keith Smith is on time.
Look at this,
Keith
huh?
Smith
Look at this, huh?
is on time.
I showed up early too today, by the way.
You get 5 stars today. That's all she wrote.
Thanks, guys.